What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got a lot of great information for you guys, but before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now let's go ahead and first start off with some pretty crazy news from the NPD when it comes to the Nintendo Switch and its sales update. So the Nintendo Switch has officially outsold the PlayStation 4 here in the US. The NPD just announced this data recently, and the Switch did it in a record time because the Nintendo Switch has only been out since 2017, so a little bit over 5 years now at this point, while the PlayStation 4 is still actually tracking sales, albeit at a much lower rate. But at the height of the PlayStation sales, to where it was able to build the lead that it had over the Nintendo Switch, that was obviously in year 6, year 7, year 8. It was going on quite a bit of time. So to see that the Nintendo Switch at this point has been able to do it in about 5 years is very impressive. Now there's still a number of systems left, like the Nintendo Wii and also the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox 360, but based off of the sales tracking that we've been getting and the rate and pace of sales here in the US, it's definitely going to pass up a lot of other systems probably this year. We've got some big games coming out this year as well that's going to help out with that. And I think one of the most interesting things that I've seen from people in the comment section, because this got a lot of traction on Twitter today. There wasn't a ton of articles mainstream reporting on it, but we did get a lot of articles reporting that like the PlayStation 5 passed up the Wii U, but we didn't get too many articles reporting on this. I did see a number though, so it's not like nobody did. But anyway, so the thing that I saw a lot of people say is, oh, well, handhelds always sell, and they're trying to diminish or downplay, oh, pretty good, I guess, for a handheld and stuff like that. And I find this to be very interesting because everybody at the start of it was trying to compare it to, oh, well, it's not going to be able to do what the consoles do. They weren't comparing it to maybe the PlayStation Vita and selling better than that, or the Nintendo 3DS. They're comparing it to the Wii U. They were comparing it to the PlayStation 4. They were comparing it to the Xbox, and if Nintendo can do better than those systems. Now when it actually beats out that, now you're saying, oh, well, handheld, so don't let people kind of put it in that branch. It's a hybrid, and we all know it's a hybrid. When it's in portable mode, it functions differently than when it's in docked mode, access to high resolution, frame rates, whatever the case is. So it switches, it changes, it's a hybrid. It's two things in one when you pair it with the Nintendo Switch dock, and I think that the next generation Switch is even going to be more of a hybrid feature and function set than this Switch, which we will get into in just a bit. But I do think that with the Nintendo Switch being able to do what it has done, it's even more impressive because it does not have all of the major third-party support that everyone was saying that it needs in order for it to do well on the market, that it can't be as good or it can't sell as much as PlayStation or Xbox if it doesn't have X, Y, and Z Call of Duty game. And it's proven that no, you don't. What you need is a very strong lineup of first-party games, a consistent flow of Japanese titles, and just a good marketing presence and a good gimmick that people are willing to get behind. And it was able to actually do that and do very well. And it's still going. Nintendo is forecasting another 21 million Nintendo Switch systems, even with the semiconductor shortage that is going on right now. So we'll see how everything kind of shakes up, but it's definitely looking like the Nintendo Switch can pass up the PlayStation 2 at some point if Nintendo decides to keep supporting it even after they have their next generation system out. So what are your thoughts when it comes to the Nintendo Switch passing the PlayStation 4 in sales here in the US? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, now moving on to the next topic. This one is a bit more serious when it comes down to it. We're not just talking about sales numbers and inflated egos or hurt egos of people over the internet, but this one gets into the nasty nature of reporting and not being willing to wait for official transcripts in order to get some clicks off of people, or in order to just put out that information even though it's wrong. Now recently there was articles all over the internet saying that Nintendo has major concern, that was the quote, major concern over the transition to their next generation Switch, and that was all over everywhere. And then of course engineers, developers, business CEOs, Twitter CEOs, people from everywhere decided to give their 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 cents. And they spun this as a Nintendo is going to mess up, or they're confused, or they're having trouble, or something like that. That's how it was spun, but that's not what Nintendo said. Furukawa never said major concern when it comes to the next Nintendo Switch. And we're actually going to go over the official transcripts of the question and answer at their most recent thing and talk about how we have to wait before we start going out there and using Google Translate and getting the budget translator from down the street in order to talk about official documentation and official questions and answers. This is completely unprofessional by a lot of these websites, which some of them still haven't even changed their article yet. It's absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, here is the official question and answer recently about what Nintendo's planning to do for the next generation. So here's the question. The upcoming software titles for the current fiscal year have already been announced to some extent. And I think one of the major differences from past platforms is that a rich lineup of new software is still being added to your library, even in the 6th year of the Nintendo Switch. Can you explain the reasons for such a difference? Also, I think that a next generation game system will be launched at some point in the future. Historically, newly launched platforms did not always have a smooth transition from prior generations. Please tell us your thoughts on how you plan to maneuver to the next generation of hardware. Now remember, this is the official financial results briefing for the fiscal year ended March 2022 online Nintendo Co.Ltd Q&A summary. Now here was Mr. Furukawa's answer to the person here. We have already announced some software titles that will be released through the next spring. Unlike in the past, even though Nintendo Switch has gone through 5 years since its launch, there is still a rich lineup of new titles to be released. The biggest reason for this is that thanks to the smooth launch of the Nintendo Switch itself, we have been able to concentrate our development resources on one platform. On the other hand, looking back at past experiences of generational change, such as the change from the Wii and the Nintendo DS eras, we recognize that one of our tasks is ensuring the transition to future generations of hardware is as smooth as possible. To that end, we are focusing on building long-term relationships with our consumers through Nintendo accounts, while continuing to release new Nintendo Switch software for consumers to enjoy. We aim to maintain relationships across hardware generations through services that utilize Nintendo accounts and by providing opportunities for them to experience our IP through other non-gaming channels. So essentially what he's saying here with the Nintendo accounts and leveraging that, they want fans to be able to get right into their catalog, get right into their games. And that also means backwards compatibility, because they're talking about Nintendo accounts. Well, what's on your Nintendo account? Well, it's all of your games, it's all of your downloads, it's all your digital stuff, everything that you have there, which would automatically include backwards compatibility, which automatically would include your Nintendo Switch Online, Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, the N64, the Genesis, whatever the case is, and bringing all of that over so people have an instant backlog of games to play, in addition to be able to play other games as well, but also providing a rich software lineup for one platform. You no longer have to split it up and have Wii and DS and this and that and have to worry about one then the other, and the systems launching at different times, so you're still making older games for this system and then you also have this new system that's coming out. It's always been a mess for Nintendo and hard for them to keep up in many recent generations, especially with the Wii and the DS and the 3DS and things like that. So he never said anything about there being a major concern. He said that they're ensuring that there's going to be a smooth transition. He never said anything about a major concern. And this is the big problem that we're having right now in the gaming industry. People want to be the first to get up the stories and first to get the clicks. And like I said, they use Google Translate, or they don't use somebody that's completely fluent in both languages. And it creates just fake news and fake articles, you know, and this was one of them that came out. So I hope in the future that people aren't so quick to just rush up there, because I saw so many tweets of people doing this and I didn't even waste my time making a video on it because it wasn't an official translation. It was people just saying, oh, well, we translated it. Oh, well, we put it through something. Oh, well, it was us. It wasn't Nintendo officially putting it up. So in the future, for everyone that's watching this video, listening to this video, wait for the official translations. Do not just go off of what various different websites are saying, because once again, they are using not certified people who can translate that we know of. They just say, oh, we're using our people, or they're just using Google Translate, which is not accurate at all. It'll give you the gist, but sometimes it's just flat out wrong. So it is what it is on that front. But what are your thoughts on this, guys? What do you think about this going on? Do you think it's going to change? Because this is not the first time. This has happened multiple times over and over and over and over. And it's without fail too. Like, this happens all the time, and it's intentional. It's not accidental. This is purposefully done in this type of way. But it is what it is on that front. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, now moving on to the next topic here, guys. We've got some more Xenoblade Chronicles 3 awesomeness that's going on. We've got some official names for some different locations, and once again showing how Monolith Soft is just taking full advantage of the Nintendo Switch hardware, despite it aging kind of long in the tooth there. So Nintendo of America recently put this out on Twitter. If you like sand in your shoes, then pay a visit to hashtag Xenoblade Chronicles 3's Aegis Wilderness. You may spot a familiar landmark while evading this desert's sandstorms. Is that a giant mechanical finger? So yeah, awesome stuff here. They're bringing back some of the things that Xenoblade fans absolutely love, the locations, and kind of doing completely new kind of like texturing and layering. It just looks awesome. I love the graphics. It's a nice mix of like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Xenoblade Chronicles X and kind of 1. It looks like they've put everything that they've worked together, just kind of mashed it all up, and even with Torna as well, and then put it on whatever their newest Xeno engine is going on the Nintendo Switch, and it's running and looking absolutely beautiful. But that's not all, guys. We do have some more screenshots from Nintendo as well. So they also had this to say about the next batch. A river flows through the vast grasslands of hashtag Xenoblade Chronicles 3's Millick, M-I-L-L-I-C-K meadows. The lush nature on display here sure looks inviting, but beware, the creatures and even plants who do live here don't take kindly to passers-by. So yeah, they've got the OGs kind of rolling through, some enemies that you guys should definitely know about if you've played the Xenoblade game. So yeah, this is just awesome. Once again, Monolith Soft, the colors, the look of the environments, the topography, everything is just looking very smooth. And from the clips that we've been seeing from the official Xenoblade account on Twitter, they've been showing everything running and looking smooth, straight up gameplay, ready to go. And the fact that they moved this game up by 2 months is very, very encouraging, that the game is looking and running good. And this is what I like to see. I like to see companies, or more like development teams like Monolith Soft, get to really spread their wings and make the type of games that they want to make. And this is them. This is Monolith Soft. This is them at full strength, all working together to make a game on the Nintendo Switch. And to me, this is the first real full strength Monolith Soft developed title. Yes, we had Xenoblade 2, but that was at a fraction of their power. That was like the Frieza, you know what I'm saying? Just like the first form, or like the 50% Frieza. You know, that was not the full power Frieza. Now this is the full power Frieza, you know, where you really got a fight, right? You really got everybody on board. And the power levels are definitely over 9,000 here. So what do you guys think about all of this here with these different landscapes and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coming out July 29th? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, guys. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes Kingdom of Fergus trailer, if I said that right. So join Prince Dimitri and fight on behalf of the Holy Kingdom of Fargus. Publisher Nintendo and developer Omega Force have released a new trailer for Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes titled Kingdom of Fargus. Here is an overview of the game via Nintendo as you guys watch this awesome trailer of the best house in the Fire Emblem 3 Houses universe. But now we have Hopes, the best house in the Fire Emblem Hopes universe. So let's go ahead and get into it. So step into the shoes of Shez as they meet Edelgard, Dimitri, Claude, and other Fire Emblem 3 Houses characters as you fight for the future of Fodlan. Align with a leader to build and command an army in a 1 versus 1,000 style battles and deep strategy. Oh, I like that second part there. The house you choose will bring you through one of 3 compelling stories, each with different outcomes. So we're gonna have to play through this 3 times, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna play through it all 3 times here. So Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes is due out for the Nintendo Switch on June 24th, and I know that not everybody loves the Warriors style games, but honestly, I think that what they're doing with this one's really cool because they're having a lot of specialization and things from Fire Emblem Three Houses built into this game that's going to be far more appealing than Fire Emblem Warriors. Whereas Fire Emblem Warriors, to me, it is definitely like the Warriors typical game that you would play, that's Dynasty Warriors or whatever the case is, just with Fire Emblem characters. This is actually a Fire Emblem Three Houses game, but an action RPG with the Muso elements in there, very similar to Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So I like these style of Warriors games a lot more than the general Warriors games with this type of skin over it, like the original Hyrule Warriors or the original Fire Emblem Warriors. So I like this one a bit more because Age of Calamity was my favorite game of 2020. I put 70, 80 hours plus into that and I loved it. Definitely with some faults. Was not perfect by any means, and I'm pretty sure this one won't be either, but I think that they're actually going to optimize this one, and hopefully they have a 60 frames per second mode, because the original Fire Emblem Warriors did also have that, but there's no guarantee. But I don't think they have to worry about rendering grass. They talked about that in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. It took them like half a year just to do the grass. You don't got to worry about that in Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes. So I'm guessing, or I'm hoping that it's going to be more like the original and have that 60 frames per second option mode. And of course, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition had a 60 frames per second optional mode as well. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes? I know I'm excited for it by the end of June. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, guys. It looks, maybe, potentially, that there's not a Twilight Princess in the works here. That's the word that's going on here. So Nintendo apparently hasn't approached Tantalus about bringing The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD to the Nintendo Switch. Now, there are a few first-party Wii U games left that fans are hoping to be brought, but one of those is definitely Twilight Princess HD, and of course Wind Waker HD. Now, Tantalus was the team behind the Skyward Sword HD game that already is released on the Nintendo Switch, and they did originally bring Twilight Princess to the Wii U. However, the CEO, Tom Crago, says that the company hasn't been asked to work on any Switch port for Twilight Princess yet. And this was on the latest episode of the Fragments of Silicon podcast. Here's what he had to say, quote, "No, and look, we obviously love to do that, but that hasn't been a priority for Nintendo, or at least not in conversations they've had with us. The way it works with our friends over there is that we'll jump at any opportunity we can work on one of their titles. There's a constant dialogue between our two companies. Often there's a little bit of time that passes between titles, and there might be other ideas that are kicked around. But in the case of Skyward Sword, some time passed, and then the email comes. Would you be interested in considering bringing Skyward Sword to the Switch? To which the answer is, of course, yes, we would. And then we enter into the conversations with Nintendo around what that might look like, and eventually we get underway. So it was similar in a lot of senses in terms of how Twilight Princess on Wii U came to fruition. Now, we don't know for sure if Nintendo would want to have Tantalus to bring Twilight Princess over to Nintendo Switch or whatever the case is. They might want to handle it internally, or since the game is already done on the Wii U in HD, just port it with maybe their younger developers. But it just seems like, well, maybe they'd want to get them. But you never know, right? Obviously, if you put it to someone internal and maybe you get new employees to do it, that's going to be cheaper than having it outside contracted through Tantalus. So we're going to have to wait and see what actually ends up happening. It's not a confirmation one way or another. It's just more information to think about. But we'll see if something does happen this year. But what are your thoughts on all the different topics that we discussed? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.